can honestly say that this was a pretty solid show. And I have some very good stories to tell you about my experience watching this show. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another edition of WrestleMania Review Series, and we are almost at the end. This is surreal that I've made it this far, and I'm here to talk about WrestleMania 38. I have some very strong opinions because the first night started badly but ended strong. And then night two, it had a strong start, but the ending midway was kind of meh, to say the least. But for the most part, I did enjoy the show. It is a really weird watch, but it is a memorable show nonetheless, and I cannot wait to talk about it. So let's just kick it off. Night one kicks off with Brantley Gilbert performing America the Beautiful, and solid performance yet again. Then they had the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders come out a little bit after this, and they do their dance. There was just like a lot of time wasted with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, given that they come out in an entrance later on. So I'm like, they could have just waited for that time to have the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, not here. But whatever. But the first match we got is the Usos defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. I thought that this match was bad, unfortunately. What happened happened. You can't really fault Rick Boogs. Accidents like this happen. It is unfortunate because this is the start of his downfall because he gets released not that long after this, and he never recuperated. And Nakamura, they're still desperate to find something important for him. The most importance that Shinsuke got was when he fought Seth Rollins for the world title. And the Usos were already on a tear, so you already knew that the Usos were gonna win. I kind of wish that they reunited the Bar, and that could have been Cesaro's send off, and then he leaves for AEW. But they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that to the AEW guys. And yeah, the match unfortunately is only remembered for that awful botch that ruined Rick Boo's career. And luckily, he was able to still perform and wrestle, but luckily, it wasn't a career ending injury. But it is unfortunate with what happened, and it really does suck for the individuals because Rick Boogs was actually very entertaining. Shinsuke Nakamura. Next match, we had Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. This was possibly the most annoying Baron Corbin persona there is. And it was a weird build. They constantly heavily pushed that Madcap Moss was gonna be the one fighting Drew McIntyre, but only for this to lead to Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin had some stupid, corny jokes. He steals the sword. He goes too far with the joke of Drew McIntyre's mom being gone. Really, the only important thing that happened was that Drew McIntyre became the first man ever kicked out of the End of Days post-match ending where Madcap Moss tries to attack Drew McIntyre only for Drew McIntyre to get the sword and cut off the ropes. This was basically their way of saying we tried with Baron Corbin, but nobody likes him, so uh, off you go. They try putting him with JBL, it went nowhere. Then he goes to NXT, it's the best run of his life. Then he comes to the main roster only to do nothing with him, try to form an alliance with Apollo Crews that didn't work, and then he just gets released. So, Baron Corbin, this is his last WrestleMania appearance. Thank goodness. They try to make it sound like he was undefeated at WrestleMania up to this point, so we're just gonna forget he lost to Elias at 36. Let's not worry about that because we are moving on to some positive matches. Everything up to this point is pretty solid. The Miz and Logan Paul taking on the Mysterio family, Rey and Dominic. This was Dominic Mysterio's debut, but this is more importantly Logan Paul's debut because this match basically was the showcase match for Logan Paul. Granted, we didn't know that he was gonna eventually sign with WWE and become this star in the company, but this was the start of it. Logan Paul showed that he had moves. He can do dives, Hurricane Runs if he wanted to. the counters, the heel heat. He basically knew the style. He was honestly better than Bad Bunny. I don't say that because I hate his music, but Logan Paul is even douchier than he was. They try to make him a baby face, but it never worked. But this match was really good. It showcased Logan Paul to great work. I love Dominic and Ray's outfits representing Eddie Guerrero. The match itself was fine for a debut, a better tag team match than the first match. But I did enjoy this match. It was really good, and it gave Miz a victory that leads to the Miz turning on Logan Paul, his protege, and then that leads to a feud that took months to get to. After this, they do nothing with the Miz until he has to fight Logan Paul. So they really wasted a lot of people's time with the Miz up to this point, but it does lead to Logan Paul beginning his career in the WWE. Then we get, oh my goodness, one of the best women's matches ever. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, I don't like big time Bex. This was a very lackluster run for Becky Lynch. She did some good as a heel. I love that she basically says like, "Oh, the only reason why Bianca Belair is good now is because I am the reason why she's great. She is part of the reason why people talk about the women's revolution. The four horsewomen did most of the work in Becky Lynch's eyes, but Bianca Belair took advantage and basically did it much better in a faster time than Becky Lynch. So basically, they were doing really good. And even though we already had this match, Bianca Belair was such an over babyface that they said we need to keep this momentum going. This is a good feud, and this was a great match. Oh my goodness! I kind of wish that Becky Lynch started as a babyface, working her way to a heel instead of the way we did this. Or at least do two baby faces with Becky Lynch being more rebellious and more heated because she is just jealous that the fact that when she took off, Bianca got more over than she did. So I kind of wish they went that route. The whole cutting up the Becky Lynch's hair and then she has this awkward haircut. Then she has this weird makeup. That's really the only thing that took me out of the match. The entrances were phenomenal with Becky Lynch in a limo or a car or something. Bianca Belair coming out to similar to John Cena at WrestleMania 34 with a band from a school, I believe, and singing their theme, singing Bianca's theme. So that was awesome. I really enjoyed this, and again, great back and forth. The story was there, and it did its job of making Bianca Belair um, the winner and making giving Bianca that moment and that momentum that's working. I kind of wish that Becky Lynch turned back into a babyface after this, because then that could have led to Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey later on down the road, but they didn't, unfortunately. But, anyways, I was happy with this. Great match, one of the best women's matches of all time. Then we get Seth Rollins versus an opponent of Vince McMahon's choosing. Now, we kind of already knew who it was going to be. There was rumors going around that this guy was going to sign with WWE. It was still surreal given his history and everything that he's done, but I didn't like the story of how Seth kept losing every match to get to this point because now he's lost a lot of credibility when he got to this match. But I kind of didn't like the fact that there's nobody for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, despite the fact that Finn Balor and Ricochet, the mid card champions, are not on the card. It would have been more fitting if Seth was walking into WrestleMania with one of those belts, and then he goes like, "I'm going to defend this against someone who has never beaten me, so I want a fresh match at WrestleMania. Whoever that is, be ready," or something like that. But instead, it was just Seth Rollins complained that he's not going to be at WrestleMania and everybody else is. He's trying to steal people's spots. Vince is like, "Fine, I'll give you a match at WrestleMania. Who's your opponent? I'll tell you, or you'll find out when you get to the ring, when that person makes their entrance." And sure enough, we get the rumors. The rumors were true. We got Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes. And it was still, I remember watching this at a bar with my friends, and we were like, "Oh my god, he really did it!" Cody Rhodes is on WWE after building AEW, doing a great job there. He refused to turn heel, so then he quit the company, or his contract expired, and then he signed back with WWE. It was still surreal that this was happening, and sure enough, we get this match, and oh my goodness, 21 minutes of absolute gold. They do callbacks to Stardust. Now, we have seen this match before in 2013, 2014, around that time, but that was Shield Seth Rollins, and this was not the Cody Rhodes American Nightmare. This is Smoke and Mirrors, Cody Rhodes, and this match was great, and it showed you that they have changed so much in the past years since Cody left and Seth Rollins became his own man. They had amazing chemistry. This is hands down the best match of this entire WrestleMania. The back and forth was great. Seth Rollins doing a power bomb to the barricade outside. The back and forth was great. The callback to Stardust, like I said, was awesome. But the ending, it was crossroads, and then the bionic elbow, callback to Dusty Rhodes, another crossroads just to end it, and then 1, 2, 3, Cody Rhodes wins his first match back in the WWE. His last WrestleMania was in Dallas at WrestleMania 32 during that ladder match. Now he's back at the same WrestleMania where he last appeared, and he's winning a marquee match against Seth freaking Rollins. And I love the match, and it led to a solid feud. Honestly, this is my favorite match out of the trilogy. I like it more than the Cell match. I just feel like the Cell match, they were so heavily focused on the fact that Cody walked in injured, and it kind of takes you away from it. But this match, solid through and through, really good match. WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. No more legacy awards. I think this just took up so much time with the legacy, so they just focused on the core Hall of Fame, and they had Shaq Gaspard winning the Warrior Award after sacrificing himself in order to save his son. No more nobleness than that. It was very unfortunate that Shaq Gaspard is no longer with us, but he did deserve this award after what he did. Vader, who I wish was still around to give his speech. I really wish we had gotten that speech. Unfortunately, we don't. We had Queen Charmel and the Steiner brothers there. The only ones that were still around to give their speeches, but it was a nice class. But deep down, we were all here for one guy, The Undertaker. Well deserved. One of the biggest names of all time, if not the. But really, Undertaker really should have gone in by himself. Even in night two, he comes out by himself without the rest of the class. And even when he comes out here in night one, they showcase everybody else, then they leave, and then the Undertaker has his own separate entrance. I mean, the headliner always does, but this felt different. Like, he straight up just came out with everybody else leaving. He has the lightning and everything. So really, it should have been all about the Undertaker, and it was. Undertaker gave possibly my favorite speech, given that it's my favorite wrestler of all time. Either him or Rey Mysterio gave me my favorite speech. But I was very glad with the other people who also got inducted. They all deserve him in their own right, but they definitely got overshadowed by The Undertaker. SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. I can't believe they went with this. I deep down wish that Ronda Rousey didn't come back ever. I think the way she left off, if she wasn't gonna finish her feud with Becky Lynch, then there really was no point of bringing her back. I don't know who was supposed to be the one you root for and the one you go against. It was just so complicated, and it's really hard. And given that the fact that both women were almost locked in for the main event of night one, shows you just like the amount of care that people had because they hated both these girls. To top it off, Becky and Bianca and Cody and Seth had back to back bangers, so these girls had to follow that, and it was really tough. It was an okay match, nothing great, but the ending really hurts it. We had the referee get knocked down. Ronda Rousey puts in the armbar. Charlotte taps, only for the referee to not see it. The match continues. Charlotte cheats, takes advantage, and Charlotte wins. She beats Ronda Rousey on her WrestleMania comeback match. Very unfortunate because I really wish that they didn't do that. I thought if they were gonna have Ronda here, then she should have just won straight up, but they didn't do that, unfortunately, and we got what we got, and it was not that good. I'm being honest. It was an okay match following two bangers. So, closing off the night was the KO show with Stone Cold Steve Austin as a guest. They really had a segment close the show, but we were all speculating, is Stone Cold Steve Austin gonna come back to the ring? Or is this just gonna be Kevin Owens and Stone Cold talking, this leading to a brawl? Because the way Stone Cold retired was pretty nice, even though he lost. But the whole story of Kevin Owens bashing Texas leading up to WrestleMania was random because Stone Cold wasn't about that. I kind of wish they went with like Kevin Owens saying like, "Oh, all you people care about is legends. Let me take on the biggest legend in Texas, Stone Cold. I bet I could take him," or something like that. But and then sure enough, he bashes Texas. Stone Cold comes out in trunks, a t-shirt. He has his wrist tied up. So I'm like, oh, he's gonna get physical. Kevin Owens is like, this was just a trick. I didn't really care about having the KO show. I want a match with Stone Cold, and I know I can take you down. And Stone Cold says, hey, you want me to open up a can of whoop ass against this sack of shit? Give me a hell yeah, hell yeah. Ref, get over here. It becomes a no holds barred match. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes back to the WWE to have one more match against Kevin Owens. This was surreal. There was rumors that Kevin Owens wanted to leave WWE. His contract expired in January, but he re-signed. He said, they have something big for me, and I just couldn't say no. And I'm guessing it's this because, I mean, who's going to pass up main eventing WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin? But the match was surprisingly good. It was Stone Cold beating up Kevin Owens, taking the bumps, but Stone Cold took some bumps himself. He falls on the floor. He takes a suplex to the floor. It was nasty. And it was concrete too, so it was like real bad. They had table spots. There was a part where Stone Cold throws Kevin Owens from one side of the ring to the other, and then Kevin Owens rolls up and falls. It was nice. There's a part where Kevin Owens is trying to run away with Stone Cold's car. He beats him up. He takes him to the entrance ramp. They brawl a little more. I do like the back and forth. Kevin Owens got to stun Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. That is a dream come true. There's beer everywhere. There's an infamous part at the end where Kevin Owens grabs a chair. He's about to knock out Stone Cold Steve Austin. He hits the ropes, hits himself. Stunner to Stone Cold Steve Austin. 1, 2, 3. And Stone Cold closes off the night in a very good match. It's a little overrated. People say it's one of the greatest main events of all time. It's a nice match. But I really enjoyed this. It was fun. It was great to see Stone Cold Steve Austin back in the ring. And I hope that he doesn't come back. I really wish this is his final appearance in the ring. It was a nice way to cap off his career. And it was a nice thank you to the people. Couldn't believe after 19 years, Stone Cold Steve Austin came back for one more match against Kevin Owens. I know this was Stone Cold's call. There's no way. But this was really good. He celebrates in the ring with his brother. He stuns a couple other people. He gives the referee a beer. And it was a nice way to cap off night one. So night one ended really nice. Now, let's get ready to talk about night two. Kicking off night two, Jesse James Decker sings America the Beautiful, and oh my god, this girl is fine. Uh, Kind of took me away from the performance because this girl is gorgeous. But doesn't take away, I'm pretty sure she did a good job. Let's talk about the wrestling. Let's move on. And we had the Raw Tag Team Championship match, RK Bro, the Street Profits, and the Alpha Academy. So awesome to see Street Profits and Alpha Academy get a proper WrestleMania match. Street Profits got a WrestleMania without a crowd, and Alpha Academy were just really over heel tag teams, and they gave them this moment. And this match was really good. It was just 11 minutes of just nonstop action. We had the High Flyers with the Street Profits. We had the Wrestling Vets and RK Bro, and then we had the um, Pro Wrestling Olympics, Alpha Academy. They all had great chemistry. Randy Orton did that awesome RKO to Chad Gable on Raw. It led to an even bigger match here. Riddle did a good job with the RKOs. He actually had a really nice RKO to Montez Ford from the top rope. The back and forth flying everywhere. It was just top notch insaneness, and I love the match. A really good match that you should go out of your way and watch. One of the best opening matches ever. And it ends with RK Bro winning. The Street Profits celebrate, and then Gable Steveson, remember when that guy was supposed to be a big thing? Come out. They are about to celebrate. Chad Gable gets mad at Gable Stevenson. Gable Steveson suplexes Chad Gable, and then they all celebrate drinking. Before we get to my match of the night, we had Bobby Lashley and Omos have a 6 minute match. It was nice. Omos was being built as a strong heel. We almost didn't get Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, but we got it here. And luckily, it was a last minute thrown together match, but it was a nice way to bring Bobby Lashley in. He deserved to be at WrestleMania, and Omos was being built nicely. So, very happy that they did this for them. And like I said, not a great match, not what you expect, but it was nice. It was good to see both men do this, and this eventually leads to MVP aligning himself with Omos. My match of the night, believe it or not, was a anything goes match between Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. This was pure comedy gold. I was so excited to watch this match. I remember when I played night two, I was like, oh, when do we get to this match? And we finally got to it. Sami Zayn's story of like stealing Johnny Knoxville's spotlight because supposedly Johnny took their spotlight at the Royal Rumble. Johnny Knoxville is the infamous face of Jackass, just taking bumps after bumps. So naturally, Sami Zayn just wanted to take him on, saying like, "Oh, he's not ready for the professional wrestling ring." They had Sami Zayn's phone being leaked. They had all this other amazing stuff, and I really enjoyed it. This was so much fun to watch. The story was great. Johnny cost Sammy the IC belt. I'm shocked this match wasn't for the IC belt, but then again, do you really want to give a celebrity a championship? Look at David Arquette. But anyways, this match was just purely hilarious. They had a thumbtack table. They had the hand, the high five. They had air horns, a stop sign, trash cans, crutches. I remember in the crowd they had Jeff Tremaine, Jasper, and Dark Shark. I was like, okay, where's Preston? Where's Chris? Where's Stevo? Where's Weeman? I'm a massive Jackass fan, by the way. Eventually, Chris Pontius comes out as Party Boy. He gets naked. He starts dancing, only for Sami Zayn to knock him out. Um, then, as Sami Zayn's gonna get a weapon, Wee Man comes out, and I love the T-shirt. He had a WrestleMania 38 shirt, but all the letters to cover up, so I could say Wee Man, are all drawn in purple or blue, whatever. And so it says Wee Man. It doesn't say WrestleMania. It was a really nice thing. Sami Zayn got body slammed by Wee Man. There's a lot of hits to the Sami Zayn's nuts. There's a boot. There's a bowling ball. There's pyro everywhere. It was just pure gold. And just to top it off, I'm like, I don't want Johnny Knoxville to beat a professional wrestler. But then again, you think about it, it was basically like a 8-on-1 handicap match for Sami Zayn, and it was pure comedy gold. They had the mouse trap Sami Zayn, and that's how Johnny Knoxville gets his victory and his moment at WrestleMania. I was so sad when this match was over because this was just pure entertainment. This is hands down the best match of night two for me. And then we get a fatal four-way women's tag team championship match between Queen Zelina and Carmella, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, and Natalya and Shayna Baszler. Keep this in mind. Natalya and Shayna Baszler were fighting against each other the previous year. Now they're just thrown in together as a tag team. Keep that in mind. And then the winners were, of course, Sasha Banks and Naomi. This was a nice back and forth with all the women. It was okay, even though they were all thrown in together. I didn't completely hate this match because it gave Sasha Banks her well deserved victory. She was 0-5 up to this point, so now she gets a big victory at WrestleMania in front of a crowd where she initially had her first WrestleMania match in the same arena, and now she's teaming up with Naomi. And then there's this iconic photo of Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Sasha Banks all holding championship gold. Unfortunately, this leads to nothing because Sasha and Naomi quit after this. Edge and AJ Styles have a dream match, players. This match was good. I think the wrestling match that they had does not match the story that they were given because around this point, Edge was pissed off that he wasn't gonna get a WrestleMania match, so he said, I want to challenge whoever. This is the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time, but you can't call WrestleMania stupendous without me. I want a match, and everybody was talking about we want to see Edge and AJ Styles. This was like the last dream match that we wanted from Edge, so we got it. Unfortunately, it does lead to him turning heel, becoming Brood Edge, and I think the build-up was for Edge to turn heel and form the Judgment Day, but when Cody got injured, they were desperate for more baby faces, so uh, the Judgment Day ends up betraying him, and then he turns back into a babyface. So this Judgment Day thing kind of leads to nothing, unfortunately. It does do good for Finn, Priest, Rhea, and Dom later next year, but um, Edge and AJ, I kind of wish that they just had a regular match. I kind of wish AJ won and then do the Edge heel turn. That would have worked out better. But we didn't know that this was going to lead to a faction. Damian Priest last year was in a marquee match teaming with Bad Bunny, and he does nothing. So now he's teaming up with Edge, forming the Judgment Day, the early start to the Judgment Day. And for the most part, this was a really good match. At the time, this was my match of the night. Going back and rewatching it, it is a solid match, but I mean, come on, Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn was just way more entertaining. I mean, come on, you guys gotta admit that. Like I said, night one starts bad, but it ends strong. This show starts strong, but ends very badly. And it starts with this next match. It is the Brawling Brutes versus the New Day. As we all know, Big E gets injured. He breaks his neck, and he unfortunately retires as of recording. This was pretty unfortunate because it was very clear it was supposed to be a 3-on-3. But Big E, like I said, got hurt. So then they made it Xavier Woods and Kofi rocking the Big E uniform, which was nice, to take on Sheamus and Rich Holland. And I'm sorry, Rich Holland, he's a loser. He's lame. He's never going to be a star because him injuring Big E is the reason why he will never get over. He also injured Ilya Dragunov, and then when he's not injuring people, he's too busy getting hurt. So Rich Holland, just leave. You're nobody. You're never going to amount to nothing. And this match proved it because this match was terrible. People were talking more about Butch. Even with that god-awful name, Pete Dunne was still more over. We did good with the Brawling Brutes, but let's be honest. They were never going to amount to nothing because at the end, it was all about pushing Sheamus. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. The third celebrity match, even though Pat McAfee has been signed to WWE for years up to this point, and they still want to call him an outsider. But I will say this show definitely had a lot of celebrities, and unfortunately, they had the better performances. Pat McAfee did a good job here. He definitely overshadowed Austin Theory. The whole point was to make Austin Theory get over, but he failed to do so. Pat McAfee coming out to Seven Nation Army, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, kicking a football into the stadium. Pat McAfee was just really over to the point where when he won, it was just like, yeah, it was very fitting. And Austin Theory wasn't quite ready for a big spot like this. And then if this was just a regular match where Pat McAfee runs circles around him and wins, I would have been happy. But then the unfortunate happens. Vince McMahon gets in the ring, takes off his jacket, and he's looking all old, and we get Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee in a 3-minute dud. How is Pat McAfee getting beat up? If it was a 2-on-1 handicap match, I'd understand, but this was just sad and embarrassing for Pat McAfee. And then Vince McMahon finally gets a WrestleMania victory. We have the infamous moment of Vince and Austin Theory celebrating, only for Austin Theory's music to hit. Vince McMahon is getting scared, only to realize that's not the theme song that was supposed to be playing. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out, beats up Austin Theory, gives Austin Theory one of the best stunners of all time. And then he gives Vince McMahon one of the worst stunners of all time, if not the worst stunner. Vince falls flat on his back. He has to pick him back up, does a botched stunner, and then as Pat and Stone Cold celebrate, Stone Cold stuns Pat McAfee. So Stone Cold was truly the savior of this moment because, yeah, this was pretty embarrassing. But the night is not over. We still have the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Winner take all WWE Champion Brock Lesnar versus Universal Champion Roman Reigns. The third match in this trilogy. I love the story of how Roman Reigns is so obsessed with the fact that he has never beaten Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. They had Paul Heyman's involvement of him betraying Brock Lesnar, even though we thought it was going to be the other way around. Um, Brock Lesnar as a face worked for this storyline. Him with breaking down Roman Reigns' cars, taking down the Usos, and then Roman Reigns not being sure if he can beat Brock Lesnar, even though he talks about it's his company, it's his world. And I could tell that this match was supposed to be longer because this match only goes 12 minutes. And part of that is because there was a Kimura lock that was hit on Roman Reigns that literally hurt his arm so badly that they had to pivot and wrap up the match a little bit. I could tell that the Usos were supposed to get involved given the fact that they come out with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. But this match itself, it was pretty solid. I think the story sells it more. They do end up having a phenomenal last man standing match, which I kind of wish was this match. But then again, how are we going to pull a tractor into this stadium, especially given the ramp was so tiny? Like I said, the match was okay. It was definitely the best match since Edge and AJ because we had a lot of duds in between. For the most part, this show was really enjoyable. I was happy that this began Roman Reigns being this dominant champion. I mean, he already was, but now this solidified it, beating Brock Lesnar, the one guy he couldn't beat at WrestleMania. And I was happy with this. So with that, I'm gonna have to give this show a B. There was a lot of bad. You could tell this could have worked better as a one night WrestleMania, but thankfully we did get a 2 night, and we get a nice show with a couple of stinkers in between. But the good definitely outweighs the bad, which is why I give it a B. But now I can't wait to talk about the next show, WrestleMania 39. I'm obviously going to share about my live experience, even though there's a whole video about it, but I really cannot wait to talk about WrestleMania 39. I'm really excited, so stay tuned, everybody.